Hi everyone, how are we today? Can you believe it's Monday again? Boy, does it go quick. And I don't know about you, but the weather has been crazy. Whoops. How are we today? Just better pop that off because I don't think you want to hear me repeat myself. There we go. I've got organised. Sadly, I can't do this beforehand because it doesn't show up. And I like to make sure that I'm going correct at the right place. Anyway, Saturday was such a beautiful day. And the rest of the week, no. Today, I had enough sun to dry the washing. Thankfully, I didn't have a lot of heavy, thick jeans and stuff, but I got the washing done. But it looks threatening again now. So as long as we get rain, that would be great. Anyway, my name is Anita Mazzero, and I'm a Stampin' Up demonstrator from Horsham, Victoria, Australia. And I'm here today, and I'm going to show you a product that's being released tomorrow. And we've got a lot of new online exclusives happening tomorrow so that you can have a look at. And there are some great, great products, and you'll love them. I know you will. And this is the beauty of Stampin' Up at the moment. We get a release of a new catalogue in May, and here we are for July. We get a release of online exclusives. Then in September, we'll get a release of a mini catalogue. And then in January, we get the celebration happening. So there's lots of new things happening all the time. You just need to jump online, check out the shop, check out the online exclusives, and check out the catalogues because they'll all be there if they're available. So, excuse me, don't forget to browse the website when you go to the shop, to my shop now, because you'll get to see a lot of new products, new things. And I'm getting the coughs and I've got no water here. And, I have water here and nothing happens. I don't have water and I get the coughs. It's not COVID, it's not a cold, it's just me. I have this niggly cough that comes and goes all the time. I'm going to turn the camera down and we can have a look and talk about our products and stuff that are happening at the moment. So just bear with me. There we go. It's got it. Sorry about my big thumb in the way. Today is the last day for you to get 50% off all sweets and sweets products. So if you buy a sweet and you want some paper from another sweet, you'll get your sweet at full price and your paper at 50% off. But if you say buy some paper from one sweet and some gems from another sweet, the gems would be the lower price item and they will be the 50% off. It's pretty much the same like when you go to buy shoes and stuff like that. The lower price item becomes the 50% off. Been a great sale. It's been really good and it's a great way to do things. If there's certain things you want, put in a couple of orders. So say, for instance, you've got 2 different lots of, say you've got 4 lots of paper that you want. You order 2 lots, you order your 4, and you know that 2 of them will be reduced. But if you want something else that's totally different and you want it to be, and say, I'll use gems for example, put in another order with something else and then that gems will be half price. And that's how it works. So it's just a little trick. So I'll do that. So today, this is being released tomorrow. This is our Stamp and Cut Embossing Folder. This is the beautiful sunflower, and it is so pretty, and I'll try to keep the glare off that. It is just perfect. And the beauty is it's huge. That's the size of the folder. And you can see the detail in there. There's your sunflowers, your leaves. There is so much detail. So it is absolutely perfect. So today I've gone and embossed a piece. I'll just move that out of the way. And I'm going to try and create what I call a burnt wood effect. So I've got certain colours, and I've had a little play of this. I played with it over the weekend on white, but I wasn't happy with the white. So I'm going to do it with basic beige. So I've embossed this, and I've embossed the whole piece. This is quarter a sheet of your A4. That's how big the embossing folder is. So, you think about your A4 sheet and you just cut it directly in half, and that's what you've got here. So it's a really nice big piece. So I'm going to take, of all colours, poppy pink, petal pink, poppy pink. Now I'm going to take this end. You've got a lip at this end, but I'm going to use this end where it, sorry, I don't know if I was in camera then. As I said, you've got a lip at this end, but this end, there is no lip. It's just the foam. And I'm going to use this particular end, and I'm going to hold it on a bit of an angle, like so, if you can see, like that. So I'm just getting that tip. So I'll get my paper, and I'm just going to run this down. Go this way, and I'm going to go this way. So that's not too bad. I'm really happy with that. It's just got a couple of darker shades in some spots and lighter in others. I'm then going to take my basic beige, and the basic beige is more of got a little green tinge to it. And I'm going to repeat the process. I want this, so I'm going to apply layers of colours to get a different look. And the reason I'm applying different layers is because depending on how I swipe, how it changes on the thing. So again, with the lip at the end, I'm just going to run down. And I might turn that around a bit because to get a bit better. So there you go. You can see that it is a different look with that on there. Now I'm going to take crumb cake. So I've basically chosen the different shades of browns that we have. So what I might do is I might turn this around and go this way. And I'm just going to come down with my crumb cake, turn that to get the effect. And then I've got some pecan pie. So as you can see, there's different textures, different colours that are showing up on this page. So it is certainly looking very different. So I'm going to come down with the pecan pie. And I'm trying to keep it the same way. I could go this way, but I want the background to have that swipe of it going down. And last but not least, I'm going to use the early espresso. So this to me is giving me my background. So you can imagine your wood with your burnt effect. So I'm going to come down, look at that. Turn it around. And I'm really happy with that. There's one little spot that I might just go back over. As there's a little bit of a swipe line. That's better. There we go. So as you can see, okay, I've got a little bit of a line there, but you can still see some of the petal pink coming through. You can see bits of the beige coming through, and Pretty Peacock is sitting, pecan pie, I don't know where Pretty Peacock, you've got some pecan pie poking through, and then you've got the early espresso going through. So I'm really happy with that. And by doing it on a larger version, I can cut now down to size where I want. And I'm thinking I'm really happy with this piece. You can see a little bit of where my pad didn't quite go right, but it's nothing to worry about. Hello, Cherry. How are you today? So I'm playing with our lovely embossing folder, the sunflowers. So I'm just going to trim a little bit off the side because take that off this way, and I want this at 10 centimetres, and looks like I'm going to get a little bit of furry, which I'm not surprised about due to the fact that, sorry for bumping the camera, it is a bit damp. And then I'll go this way, and I want this at 13.9. Get me measurements right. Let me stop and think of what I was doing. So I've cut that at 10, but I actually want that at 9.5. So I'm going to go, I'll just look at this and see what's coming off it. You can look at it and decide where you want it to come off. I think I'll go that way. Take that off. So 9.5 by 13.9. And that's got rid of that. So from our big sheet, I've got 2 lots, and I'm just going to use my sanding block to tidy up the furry bits. I know it's a new blade, but probably should have whacked the heat gun over it just to, because I have several layers of ink over it. And these blocks are something that's worth having in your kit. Right, so I'll put that one aside, and I'm going to get a wipe and wipe my glass mat, because I thought I covered it with the paper, but obviously did not. There we go. So there's that. So my thinking for this is a piece of, come back into view, a piece of crumb cake on a piece of espresso, and pop that like so. And I think that would look really, really nice. Good afternoon, Lucia. How are you today? So giving this piece of embossing folder a completely new look is what I'm trying to do. So I'm doing what I call the burnt wood technique. It's where I'm swiping my ink pad over the embossed folder. So I've used the colours petal pink, basic beige, crumb cake, pecan pie, and early espresso. So I've got a really good range of colours, and it has picked up all the different colours in the kit. So I might take my trimmer and fold my cardstock. Now, in case you didn't know, our trimmer, the folder is great. It's definitely one I probably would have overlooked on the online exclusives, but Pam, our team leader, gave us a challenge and handed us a sheet of embossed paper. And I fell in love with the folder straight away. So as I was saying, not only is our trimmer fantastic for cutting and scoring, it is also good for folding. We've got this 90-degree angle down here at the bottom. I'm hoping you can see that. 90-degree angle at the bottom. I've scored this, but even though I've scored it, I'm still going to take and roll it over, tuck it into that corner, and get my bone folder and make sure this is straight. And it gives you a perfectly folded card. So our trimmer is absolutely fantastic. Right. That's inside. That's the piece I was looking for. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I am going to glue this onto the cardstock. Being an embossing folder, you probably find you will use a little bit more glue than you would normally due to the fact that the embossing needs to help settle. So I'm going to pop that on. Carefully in place. How nice is that folder? I mean, look at that. It is stunning. Absolutely beautiful. The detail in the embossing folder and in the leaves is amazing. So I'm going to work with this before I go any further. So I've gone and, so you're not watching and waiting forever for me to do things, I've gone and got die cut some, or stamped from our, and I'll put it away in a safe place. You know how you put things in a safe place? From our textured notes. I have no idea where it has disappeared to. Knowing me, I've probably put it way over in the cupboard out of the way because I did do a bit of cleaning up before. So it's not where I thought it was, but that's okay. So I've gone to our textured notes and I've taken some of the flowers, some of the leaves, because it's got a beautiful arrangement of leaves. I had some with white, but I just felt the white was too stark against the dark colour of the thing. So I've done them all in basic beige. I've got a couple of big leaves, and I've got to decide, because I've stamped 2 each of, actually I don't mind that, see, look at that. So I've got basic beige, stamped on basic beige. Oh, hadn't you heard that before, Lucia? Glad to help you again. So I've got basic beige on basic beige. I've got pecan pie on basic beige, and then I've cut in crumb cake and early espresso. I've cut out some of these little flowers. So what I want to do is I just want to create a bundle of flowers. I'll leave the dark ones to cut up. Thinking thinking. And yet I don't like that there. I think that looks a little bit lost. So, I don't know. I don't want to be fussy cutting for you because it does take a little bit of time. So I do like that on there. But I think if I cut this one apart, and don't ever hesitate that when you do have embellishments that you've stamped or die cut, you can cut them up. It's not going to matter. So the reason I'm placing them all down to see where I want them to go is so that I will have an idea when I go to layer them. Oh, I like that. That looks really good. And actually cutting that up is much better than leaving it as it was. I'm just going to add that like so. Oh. I'm going to add, this is some Timid Tiger. I wanted to add a little bit of colour, so I've cut this into 3. And I'm just going to have a look at that, and I might just loop it, create. So I'm wanting that to sit like so. Or, you know what? I might loop it and trim the ends on the other side. Just have it coming out each end. I'll hold back. I'm going to start layering this. I'm happy with where I've got it. Take those pieces. I'm going to get some mini dimensionals behind this. Now, I don't know if anyone else does, but I like to layer. Yeah, the dark does make a difference, doesn't it, Lucia? I just thought that using these light ones was just not right. Needed the extra colour. So I'm going to pop some mini dimensionals. And I'm trying to put them more to the centre because I want to poke some flowers in. And I also want to have it organically, I don't know if that's the right word, but just to have that look that they're natural. So I'll place the first one down and I'm going to pop that like so. And I'm going to set this one probably over the top like so. So I only need a couple just here in the middle, and then we'll pop a little bit of glue. If you have press and seal, when you lay out your flowers, you can either take a photo or you can use some press and seal and pop that down, and that will help giving you the effect that you want. Okay. Pop them in there. Happy with that. Now I'm going to glue that one. Actually, I was going to glue this one. I think I thought I'd missed a thing, but I just didn't press it down. I'm going to sit that in behind there. Because I've got dimensionals, they're just going to hold it in place. And then I'm going to take these and I'm just going to put a tiny little bit of glue down in there. And I will afterwards show you some others, examples of what I've done so that you can see. So I'm just going to lift, pop them in. part of it under the flower and part of it out. There we go. And then I do think this doesn't need too much of it though. I think it might just pop like so. Yep. And I'll just glue these in place. Now I will admit, about an hour or so, no, probably a couple of hours ago, I had no idea what I was going to do. All I knew is that I wanted to have the embossing folder. Put that there. And because the embossing folder is a standalone folder, it makes, well, I had to really think hard of how I was going to do this because it is very different. Normally when we get an embossing folder, it belongs to a suite or something like that. So I'm going to get my glue dots and I'm going to pop that on a glue dot. Maybe two of them, I think. To create that look. And the reason I've used a bit of Timid Tiger is just to give it a hint of colour. You see these artists that do the burnt wood, they don't have a lot of colour in there. Oh, I like that. I'm just going to have it scattered there, like so. Well, this is coming together a lot quicker than I thought. And then I've just got a little note of appreciation, which I've embossed in black. And when you see that embossed, because it's such a tiny note, you really can't tell. If I bring it up closer, that is actually black. But against the browns and the dark colours, it actually looks like it. So I'm going to put some dimensionals on the back of this. First, some minis. And then we'll just pop that there. Needs another dimensional under there. Just a little bit higher up than I thought. And pop that. There we go. I'm happy with that. Now, those of you that know me, it's got to have some Winker Stella. Got to put a little bit on there. Just give it a bit of a scatter. Doesn't need a lot. You just, camera doesn't really pick it up, unfortunately. So I'm going to pop them on dimensionals on my card front. So, put them in. Definitely use plenty of dimensionals because we want that to hold in place. Now, I thought this card was going to take forever, but it hasn't, so it's all right. Still got the inside to do, though. Okay, I'm going to pop that in place, and I'm going to pop a little bit of glue, because if I need to wiggle it, the dimensionals will just hold instantly, and having that little bit of glue will just help it to move around. And I can never, ever put anything on straight. And today it happened. There we go, there's the front. All it needs now is some gems. And I reckon I might dive in my container of gems, have a look. I'm just thinking I've got a bit of orange and I'm just wondering if I put an orange, some Timid Tiger gems. I'll lift up without spilling on me. So I'm going to take the Timid Tiger. Oh, I think I will use that colour because that looks really, really nice in there. So I'm going to put one up there and pop one down there and pop a little one just down in there. There we go. I was going to use the druzy gems, but I'm thinking that little bit of Timid Tiger, and it actually tones way down to what it looks like on the... So if you look at it there, it looks quite bright, which it is, but then I put it onto this dark and it actually has toned right down. And it's looking really, really nice. So now for the inside, I've got some crumb cake and I've got a piece of basic beige. And I'll just move these. Oh, actually I could use these. Let's have a look. I don't have a lot of dark, so... No, I'll stamp. I'm going to stamp. So I'm going to get some pecan pie. And remember, these colours are all in what I've done. So I'm going to pop a large pecan pie one in the back there. And then I might get some crumb cake. Oops, I've knocked that again. And I'm going to use this finer one. And I'm going to put 2 of them. Then a little bit of espresso. I'm just going to stamp the one over the top. So you've got the flowers in there. So I'm mimicking the front. Oh, the words wouldn't come there. So I'm just going to flick a bit of wink over the... Sorry, I had that off camera. Just over the top. And now we'll glue these pieces together. Glue that. And pop that in there. And there's our card. But before I show you some other cards, I'm going to grab one of our envelopes and our embossing folder. And I'm going to place the envelope in the embossing folder because we might as well keep the theme going. Now, it may not work. I may be showing you something that's completely wrong, but pop that in there. And I'm going to run that through. Remember, when you're embossing, always keep the fold at the end that's going in and never come back because it will not work. Here's my envelope. Look at that. I'll just get rid of all this. So there's the envelope. How nifty is that? Let's see what I could do too, because I've already done the card. Let's have a look if I can pick where. No, it's not going to be the same way, so it won't work. I was thinking I was going to cut this down and put it on the back, but A, it's not long enough, and B, it's not going to work. But look at that. How nice is that? That you can get in the mail, your envelope, and your card. So it's a little bit different. It's one you could certainly give to a man. You wouldn't have to use maybe as much ribbon, but certainly it's one that you could give to a man. So I'm going to show you, the whole thing started, as I said, as part of our team. This one I completely watercoloured with our watercolour pencils and created, now I've got lots of Winker Stella on there, and I've created a thank you card from this one. I haven't done the inside of that one. But that was my first attempt. Then I had a go at embossing on white and running my Versamark over it. Reasonably happy with that, but I know I made the mistake of not using the embossing buddy. So I've got a little bit of gold ribbon and some gold hearts in place there, and a bit of Cajun craze in the background. This was my earlier attempt at this burnt wood look, and I'm actually happier with today's because this was done on white. So when you see the two together, the white becomes quite strong. So I get it in place. So it's very, very strong. Whereas this darker one, having it on the basic beige, does to me give it more of a burnt wood look. And so that was that one done. And then I did one using the some Pool Party two-tone cardstock, sanded it. I've got some of our foil in the background. It's on our and then I've just used a little bit of Secret Sea with my Winker Stella because I like my Winker Stella. Anyone that knows me knows I like it. And I've cut the ribbon here and just broken it up. And then I've just put some die cuts in there. I've used the Pool Party that I used for there, and then I've just added a little bit of colour to help bring it out. So this was one I tried in the beginning on some petal pink, thinking that would give a more wood look. I wasn't over happy with that. I thought it was a bit lost, but I'm not going to throw it away. I'm going to use it because I can cut it down and maybe just have a strip of it, and it may look very, very different. This one here, I tried the gold like I did on the other one over the coloured, but I wasn't happy because you can see where it's the Versamark didn't quite catch, and it caught in some areas and not in others. But if I don't show you what I failed to do, you're not going to see what has been done. And so I've got this piece again, you know, as I said, I can use that. It's got the streaks of it. It's got the colour. It's quite a different look one. I'll work out what I'm going to do with those. So these three are something I can work with. But again, as you can see, there are lots and lots of ideas out there, and it's your imagination that will stop you from doing it. And the card, like, look at that. When that came out of the envelope, when it came out of the embossing folder, I thought, oh, I've used a piece of white cardstock, thinking I'd grabbed the wrong thing, but it was just so compressed that you could imagine giving that to someone. I might work white on white, and the white on white with, say, a little bit of gold for a wedding card would look absolutely beautiful. And then I could just touch up with a little bit of wink on the envelope, and voila, there's your wedding card. So there you go. It didn't take long today. It went quicker than I thought, but I think because I die cut everything and prepared it beforehand, it made it a little bit different. I've used the textured notes for two of the sentiments. That one came from, yep, again, it's in the cupboard. But I've got different ones. This has come from the Gallery of Notes, and I'm not 100% sure of that one. I think that one came, thank you for my business stamp set. But there's a lot of ideas, and this is the thing. Don't let a standalone embossing folder that you see in the catalogue or at the online store and say, oh, I don't know what I'm going to do with that. It doesn't match anything, but it doesn't need to. I've used textured notes stamped and cut out here. I've used from the Gallery Blooms here. There I've chosen not to put anything on these. Here I've just used some dies from the textured notes dies, which are just rectangles, and I've just made them smaller so I could get the effect that I wanted. And that's all I've done. So with a bit of ribbon, bit of twine, you can go. And as I said, there's a lot to be used. So yes, it's short and sweet, but I think it's turned out really well, and I think that you will like the idea. And this technique that I use, the swiping technique, you can just choose one colour. You can decide, I want a piece of white, but I want to add some, say you want to use the in colours. You can just swipe and there's your card done, and you get your colour. And you don't have to use more than one colour like I did today. The idea of this was just to be able to show you that the different colours, and as that dries, that will change a lot more to what it is showing at the moment, because I can feel that it is still a little bit damp. But I'll let that dry, and it will certainly change. And I will notice it in this piece, and I might. Oh, well, I've got you. Well, let's zap it. Come on, let's do it. I've got a bit of time. Get my heat gun, and we'll just give it a zap to give it a bit more dry it a little bit more, and just to watch the colour come out. And knowing my luck, it probably won't do it now that I'm doing it. And as I said, I'm not going to waste these pieces just because I've cut them out and played with them. It's not worth throwing them away. They can be used. There we go. It's a little bit drier. This is actually bringing a bit more of that pecan pie out on this piece. So, yeah, it does change as you go along. So just remember, you can do this with any embossing folder that you have in your arsenal. If it covers a large area, you can use this swiping of your ink. You can use blending brushes. You can use coloured pencils to colour it in. It's your imagination that brings it to life. Whatever you want to do, you can sand. You can, if you've got two-tone cardstock. And now that we've got two-tone cardstock in, 52 colours, we can create a very different look just by using the colours. So I'm, as I said, I'm very happy with what's come up. These are my duds, but my duds can turn into cards. And if I get round to them this week, I will pop them up and show you. So stay tuned, because it may look very different. I've even got some ideas floating in my head at the moment of what I could do to just change the look of why I'm not happy with it. It may not work. If it doesn't work, well, I've got nothing to lose. So there we go. A very simple technique, and I still think this was a great card that can be given to a man, as it doesn't look feminine at all, and you can create the feminine look just by your colours and things like so. So I hope you've enjoyed today, and I'm very happy with the way it's turned out, and considering that a couple of hours ago I wasn't 100% sure where I was going, and I didn't want to repeat a card that I'd already done, so I wanted to do it slightly different, and it has, as I said, the closest was the white, and it's totally, totally different. So, and every time you swipe, you're going to get a different look, because it depends on how heavy you press with your ink and things like that. So I hope you've enjoyed today. I've certainly enjoyed bringing it to you and bringing it all out. And if you do have the embossing folder, demonstrators only would have it at the moment, but certainly if you do purchase it from my store, I would love to see what you do with it, and you can create something that will look really nice. And I'm certainly going to work with those pieces that failed, or failed in my eyes. You might not think so, but I'll work with them. So I want to say thank you for watching today, and keep warm, everybody. We're halfway through the year. Today is the last day, and things should start improving, hopefully, in the next few weeks. But enjoy and stay warm, and I will see you next Monday. Bye for now.